And hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pumpkin Copter Cast, the only video game show.
That's right. It's the only one.
The only one ever.
Yep, and if you remember if all 9 of you who watch any episode of my show at any given time, remember from last year, I and some friends of mine talked about all sorts of LGBT plus related things concerning video games and other stuff, and we're gonna do that again. Just to remind everyone that it's not an entire tornado fire, and yep. And so to introduce my guests in order of people who actually agreed to do online stuff with me, we have my co-host of my other podcast of the other thing what I do online. We got Tom Siduck Spielman.
Hello. Hello, Internet.
Yep, and I've also joined again by one of my regulars on both my shows. We got Carolyn Mobius Variant 38924.
Hello. I love that.
Yeah.
How did you get that information, Debbie? You're not supposed to know about the TDA's work.
I'm pretty sure you got to be erased now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's apologetic.
I mean, what do you think the B in Hunter B15 stands for? It stands for Big Debbie.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. My variants are her, Massimo from Luca, and I don't know, at least one other person that would be hilarious. So anyway, yeah.
This is why I keep coming back, folks. This is why this Mobius variant keeps coming back, because Debbie is just, this variant of Debbie is the true one on the timeline.
Yeah. So yeah, like we said, Pride Month may be over, but as the internet has kind of declared, especially if you exist in the year of God Who Is a Horse 2022, stuff's going crappier and crappier. So we're gonna talk about the parts that aren't so crappy, because why not? But before we actually start talking about anything LGBT plus related, I'm going to just make it known that just prove to these two that I'm the Ash Ketchum of their circle of internet friends, and the fact that I can get these two randos immediately involved in my own particular bullshit. We're gonna be playing a game I invented and just remembered that it was a thing.
Okay.
So we are going to be playing, one of my favorite games, Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Dark Souls.
All right.
Yes.
Because if there's one thing Yu-Gi-Oh! And Dark Souls both have in common, is that all of the monsters in it have names that sound like a dictionary is bleeding to death. So, since there's 2 of you, so I'm going to, just so this doesn't drag on, even though this episode is probably going to drag on, because I know myself for 30 years, and I've known you two for a few years. It's probably going to drag on whether we want it to or not. But I'm going to give each of you 2 guesses, and you are going to try and guess if it is a monster from Yu-Gi-Oh!, the franchise that brought us card games on motorcycles, one of the best things ever.
It sure did.
Or Dark Souls.
All right.
A franchise that I can only describe as, what if J.R.R. Tolkien did all of the drugs and then never ever stopped?
All right.
So, yeah, well, we'll start with Tom. So let's see. Well, I don't know. Let's see. What's weird enough? What's a list with weird enough names? Okay, let's see. So, damn it, I had. So, Tom, Great Grey Wolf Sith, Yu-Gi-Oh or Dark Souls?
You know, my knowledge of Yu-Gi-Oh is only limited to the original stuff. But at the same time, a wolf sounds really plausible for both, but knowing that, you know, Dark Souls is kind of, you know, it's it's that author's take on European fantasy lore, I'm going to say Dark Souls.
You are correct. Great Grey Wolf Sith is is an optional boss in Dark Souls, or as many people know it, the giant wolf what has a sword in its mouth.
The giant wolf has a sword in its mouth.
Yeah, like Zacian from Pokemon Sword and Shield, which is a comparison I'm pretty sure people made when they made it. So, Carolyn, over to you. Let's see. Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, Yu-Gi-Oh or Dark Souls?
Well, okay. You know, I traditionally I am vaguely familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh, and I know it's mostly Egyptian mythos. So when you say ogre, there's not necessarily, to the best of my knowledge, and I did watch me some Moon Knight, so I know everything. It's sarcasm, everybody. About mythos. I'm gonna go Ghost Wolf or Ghost Ogre. Say it again for me.
Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit.
I'm going to dare to be different because this feels like a trick one, and I'm going to say Yu-Gi-Oh.
You're correct.
Holy shit, really?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
And if you think Yu-Gi-Oh is like limited to only Egyptian mythos, wait until you get to the later season where there's an entire series of cards dedicated to like God's chorus of archangels.
Ooh, okay.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, if Tom and I had a Yu-Gi-Oh podcast instead of a Pokemon podcast, we would probably be just reeling at that fact like we're reeling over the fact that God is a horse. Anyway.
God is a horse.
Okay, let's see. Okay, next is Tom. This is your last one. Let me just let it actually load. So, Tom, The Lady in White, Yu-Gi-Oh or Dark Souls?
Okay, I actually know this one. I know that's Dark Souls.
Wrong.
Oh, dang, really?
Yep, Lady in White is a Yu-Gi-Oh card, and I bring this up specifically because, this card is part of a set that has the most bonkers badonkers backstory in Yu-Gi-Oh, and just quick tangent because I need to talk about this because I literally have no one else to talk about this with.
Let's go.
So, there's a series of cards way back in the early days, back when things like buying a Blue Eyes White Dragon didn't cost you a literal arm and a leg. There was a card called Skull Servant, which is basically, imagine a putty, only instead of clay, it's a skeleton wearing a purple robe. Excellent, as John Oliver would say. And just through a series of what I can only describe as the best kind of nonsense, they made an entire series of cards where, these were mass-produced soldiers as part of a war between two other, archdemons. Most of them died. Then one skeleton would be like, I'm gonna make myself dead permanently. And then it came back to life, decided that I'm gonna live my best skeleton life, met like a ghost dog, adopted it, and then got married to a skeleton wife and had 2 skeleton kids.
Okay.
I don't. Also, there's another card that's just like the same skull guy, but he's at a barbecue. Just like a regular barbecue, you see him skewering some sweet potatoes. So, one of the, I don't know, just the idea of this horrible looking skeleton man actually being a family man who loves the barbecue.
All right.
I need to know it. So I know that, and it's stuck in my head forever. And, someday, Tom, like 4 or 5 years from now, you're just going to remember that. And then you're going to be like, why do I know this? And yeah.
So the lady in white is the skeleton's wife, or
Yep.
Okay. Interesting. I like learning.
Yeah.
All right.
This is really cool, actually.
Yeah, but anyway, enough about that. So now we're on to Carolyn's last one, and let's see if I can find one that's appropriately ridiculous. Let's see. See, if you want to get something that people can't tell between Dark Souls or Yu-Gi-Oh, you gotta find a monster that has a weird title, like Legend of Zelda bosses.
All right.
Okay, so Carolyn, your final guess.
Okay.
Farfa, Melibranch of the Burning Abyss, Yu-Gi-Oh or Dark Souls?
You're kind of cutting in and out there.
Oh, me?
Yeah. Okay, now you're good.
That better? Okay. It sounds like a Yu-Gi-Oh.
You're correct.
Hey.
It is a Yu-Gi-Oh, some sort of weird gargoyle looking thing. So yeah, that is Yu-Gi-Oh or Dark Souls, proving that these two franchises are pretty much the same if you think about it. And if anyone actually watched the show, this would be the time when this video would get like flagged with a bunch of comments, and then people would find you on Twitter and then be like, Tom, what the hell? Yu-Gi-Oh is not Dark Souls.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I mean, it won't be the first time I've gotten yelled at by a fan base.
So yeah, now that I've given these two, a particular taste of the sort of bullshit that's rattling around in my brain whenever they're not around, now we can move on to the actual topic, which is all manner of LGBT plus related things. And I know it's not perfect. Anyone in the LGBT community, especially 3 dinguses like us, know that it's a million miles from perfect. We know this. We don't need any of you to tell us. But we're going to be talking about all this stuff just to remind ourselves that, it's bad, but not all bad, and certainly not all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Exactly.
yeah. So, I guess. So, Tom, heads or tails?
Heads.
Let's see. It's heads. So, Tom, you can pick a topic first.
All right. Well, it just occurred to me. Debbie, we all know you're a big Power Rangers fan.
This is true.
I have a pretty peculiar history. I wasn't allowed to watch it or The Simpsons until I was 10. By which point nobody cared about either of those things.
That is true.
So yeah, I got it on the ground with Wild Force. I like Ninja Storm a lot when that aired, and then I just sort of fell away from it. I tried to get back into it with Beast Morphers when that aired. It didn't take. But now we're seeing, there was some recent Power Rangers Pride merch put out because the Green Ranger of is it Dino Fury? Is that right?
Yes, the current season is Dino Fury, which is based off of the Ryu Soldier Sentai.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, anyway, the Green Ranger on that is not only a girl, but is also a lesbian. But she's like the only canonically gay ranger, right, in like 30 something years of material or close to it.
Yep.
So I guess my question is, if whether that be in the loads and loads of Boom comics I haven't read, or something else, like a video game or something, or like a video game or something, if they were going to make another Ranger gay, besides that Green Ranger and the I think it was the reimagined Yellow Ranger for the movie, right?
Yeah, the Trini in the 2017, and hold on, let me just, I gotta see if this is a movie or a video game. Actually, this actually is a weird thing because, recently, because of course I follow all things Power Ranger related, is that in the comic books, they're actually, like, an author made, like, a canonically non-binary Power Ranger.
Oh yeah,
the Death Ranger.
Yeah, right.
And hold on, I'm gonna just copy this. All right, I forgot this is Skype, and send a picture into the chat because they're friggin' metal as hell. And there you go. That is
all right. Yeah, I remember the Death Ranger now. That's right.
And I tweeted about it, and the person what made the character in the first place tweeted back, so that's an ego boost.
Yeah.
And I'm just
oh, that's cool. But yeah, my question is, if they decide in either the comics or the whatever, maybe that, I don't know if that Shattered Grins game is still around, but my point is, if they decide, okay, no, another ranger of a historical bent is going to be revealed as gay, who would you want that to be? I guess is my question.
I don't know. There's just a lot. I mean, I haven't read the Power Ranger comics because there's a lot of them. There's too many of them. There's way too many. Leave me alone, damn it. Get off my back. But I don't know. Just I'm not entirely sure who I would imagine as gay. I just, like, this is just my mind went just because the series is relatively fresh in my mind, but in Power Ranger Samurai, Red Ranger Jaden has a best childhood friend, Antonio, who comes back to becoming the Gold Ranger after literally building a morpher by himself.
Oh, holy damn.
Even though he doesn't seem to have a laboratory like Billy did. And and for those who don't have a photographic memory, Billy is not dead, and while David Yost left the series under extremely ugly circumstances.
Ooh, and then some.
Yeah, Billy is just living his best life on the planet with the Rangers that are fish people. But anyway, but two characters that it's basically like when I was watching through this series with my friends, if you two were there, you could probably hear me just screaming, Just let them kiss already, damn it. And these are not Rangers, but two of the supporting characters from Power Rangers Ninja Steel, which, just to get you two interested, and I hope you two watch this someday, the bad guys are evil space wrestlers. That is not an exaggeration. That's literally what they are.
Right, yeah, they're like evil space wrestlers, right?
Yeah. They make the monsters grow based on if they're popular or not.
Oh man.
It's got one of my favorite crossover episodes, but anyway, they're like, we'll get back to video games, or maybe we won't, I don't know. They're the two characters, Victor Vincent and Monty. And Victor Vincent is basically like, what if Biff from Back to the Future, but you take out all the evil and you just put more dumbass in it?
All right. All right.
Like, seriously, like, just. I mean, like, I heard, and then there's Monty, who's like the stereotypical nerd character, but the weirdest thing is, like, Victor uses him for his schemes, but they actually just hang out together when they're not doing anything. And just, there's this one scene where they're trying to frame the Red Ranger for, like, stealing something from school. And, they're like, we got photographic evidence. And, Monty shows the pictures he got in his camera, and then Victor's like, you're really good at capturing the good side, Monty. And then Monty is like, they're all good, Victor. And you're just like, come on. And then in like the beginning of an episode, Monty's holding a mirror to Victor's face, and he's like, I do get more handsome every day. And I think one of them even had to, was asked to like turn down like the gay, like how the guy who played Garrick in Star Trek was asked to tone it down, and they toned it up, basically. And
amazing, absolutely amazing.
Victor Vincent is played by the very talented Chip Lynn, who I know like Disney doesn't always do live action good, but he should have been Gaston. He's that type of himbo.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, if you remember that he was also one of like the police officers that got beanbagged in Birds of Prey.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And I think he did some like stunt work for Matrix 4, the Matrixing.
Oh yeah. Matrix 4, it's back, but shut up.
Yeah.
That basically seemed to me, like I said, I didn't see it, but every clip I saw and everyone talking about it, that was like the subtext to the Matrix 4 is, okay, yeah, we're doing this before somebody else makes it worse, so shut up.
That was what I think it was.
Matrix 4 was good. Not good. I think
Lana Wachowski was basically like, yeah, I'm doing this. Yeah, we all know what it's about. Shut up. Anyway. But yeah. And yeah, I think Battle of the Grid is like still go like to turn this back to video games. Let's see, Battle of the Grid characters. I mean, they got Jason and Tommy. They got Tommy obviously because he's like Steve Rogers.
Right.
They got Lord Draken, which is basically what if Tommy Darth Vadered.
Right.
And he still had all of his skin.
Right.
There's Goldar, one of the original best baddies. Let's see, there's stuff that is exclusive to the comics, so I don't know jack about it. Let's see, there's Adam in his, ninja outfit. Yeah, and wait, hold on. There's Lord Zed. There's Scorpina, the character that I'm convinced is the first thing that made people in my age demographic feel things.
It is certainly possible because, mama.
Oh yeah, and there's two other Power Rangers. You might know them, Ryu and Chun-Li.
I'm sorry, what?
Sorry, what?
You heard, like Ryu and Chun-Li were added as like DLCs in one of the like season passes, and they got their own ranger suits.
Okay.
Let's see, So I'm just gonna read their character synopsis because it's just one of the like I'm angry that I didn't make this happen. Like genuinely angry. Raised by the Shotokan master Goken, Ryu is a stoic warrior who lives for the fight. His drive to seek out the strongest challengers led him to defeat some of his greatest rivals like Sagat, Akuma, and M. Bison. Now with
Right.
Lord Zed weakening the morphing grid enough to fray the borders between realities,
Okay.
Ryu is pulled into a different world. In a bid to save a shattered Power Rangers team, he gains a power core, morphing him into the Crimson Hawk Ranger. This street fighting champion is about to face his fiercest challenge yet. So Ryu is a Power Ranger, and that's one of the best sentences I've ever said. And then there's
Yeah.
Chun-Li. Yep, now she was also spirited to the world of Power Rangers because sometimes video games just kiss you right on the lips.
Uh-huh.
With a power coin in hand, she morphs into the Blue Phoenix Ranger, a much needed reinforcement in the battle to protect all the worlds from the schemes of Lord Zed.
Wild.
Yeah. Not voiced by the late great Robert Axelrod because the man was 90 when we were in our 20s, but you know.
Really? Wow.
Yep, and then there's a bunch of other Power Rangers characters from slightly more obscure seasons, include like Udana, the only Power Ranger that is also a mom.
All right. Well,
Okay.
what about the I mean there was that one Sentai season I think it was like a mini series, right, where they actually got the actresses who played Rangers in like past seasons, like they suited up again and they were like
Yeah.
middle aged. Um, that seemed really fun.
And yeah, just and just surprising of all, they also have. Well, this is the last thing I'll say about Power Rangers, because you know, I will. If you two ever meet me in real life, if you ever bring up Power Rangers, I probably won't shut up about it until you make me.
All right.
There's Poisandra.
I'm learning.
Mm-hmm.
Poisandra basically looks like if you took a bunch of candy, like several different pride flags and part of a gimp suit and turned it into a monster. And, you know,
Okay.
I mean, basically, she's like the wife of Sledge, the main villain of that. And they're basically, imagine if the Joker and Harley Quinn actually had a healthy relationship.
Okay.
Like, imagine if they were actually like the hottest power couple instead of Harley and Ivy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because also just for Power Rangers Dino Charge, the main villain is basically like, what if Boba Fett did anything ever and was cool? And yeah, so anyway, enough about one of my several special interests. So I guess since Tom did the first pick, Carolyn, do you have any topics?
Yes, I do. Good. Friends.
Mhm.
I want to give you guys a quick walkthrough to the greatest game, at least that I vividly remember on my phone. And
Mhm.
this includes some canonically LGBTQ plus characters.
Okay.
Have you ever played phone games?
Like iPhone games?
Phone games, iPhone, Samsung.
Yeah. The only one I've
Some of
beaten
them.
all the way through was Super Mario Run because I was both unemployed and very depressed. So that's a good combination. And I need to re-download that game on my iPad actually. I have Fruit Ninja on there as well, so that's fun. But other than that, nothing like exclusive. No.
Okay. Debbie, you ever play any phone games?
Oh jeez. Well, during my community college days, I obsessively played with. I played Angry Birds. I play, let's see, there's I probably need to look at my phone. We got Hidden Folks, which is basically like Where's Waldo, but black and white, and all the characters move. And probably a lot more that I can't think of right now because my memory is bad. Wait, hold on. Hold on, because audio's being weird for some reason again. Tom, I think it's your fan.
I mean, I don't see how, because it's my my ceiling fan is going, but that's not making any sound. So,
Okay,
you know what? I'll mute myself. Hold on.
Test.
Yeah, that's good. Sorry, Tom. My computer picks up audio for some reason, even if it's nothing. Anyway, sorry, Carolyn. You were saying.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I'm a simple person who has very simple hyperfixations, one of which is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And today, gentlemen, friends, Romans, countrymen, men, women, and thembies, I would like to talk to you about Marvel Avengers Academy.
Huh.
Have either of you heard of this game?
Yes, because David Nakamura, who was the art director for that game, which we never got a tie-in comic for, and it pisses me off. He was the cover artist for the wonderful, much missed X-Men 92 comic that my old coworker Chris Sims co-wrote with his writing partner Chad Bowers and the artist I think Scott Koblish for Marvel. So yeah, I am familiar with it. I never did play it, but I think I know where this is going.
Well, okay, so as somebody who has loved Avengers and who now technically works on an Avengers campus / Avengers Academy, one of the things that I really remember enjoying a lot, because I was trying to think of things that were explicitly LGBT and explicitly LGBTQ plus and explicitly video game related, and I forgot how much I love until I sat and I was Googling some images, how much I love the Avengers Academy characters, because Avengers Academy really dared to introduce a lot of characters that people weren't familiar with yet, and they were very open. I mean, so there's a number of different characters in the Marvel universe who are LGBTQ, and it's only been very recently that they've been like really, really spotlighted, but Avengers Academy took one of the really big ships in the Young Avengers, Wiccan and Hulkling, and made it a
I know who those two are.
yes, and they made them characters, and they made them characters on campus, and they made them kiss. So they would team up, and just for Wiccan is if anybody here has watched WandaVision, there's
I have.
Wiccan. Yes.
Sure did.
So Wanda's two children, Billy and Tommy. Tommy is the speedster. Tommy is the one who dresses like his uncle, and Billy is the witch who takes after his mother. So when they introduced the two boys, everyone got really excited, very assured that, you know, a Young Avengers crossover was in the making, because you would have Billy and you'd have Tommy, and then you had America Chavez, and you basically had all of these characters that came from a period where being gay was very, very accepted. And one of the first places that you really got an idea to the mass public of Billy and Tommy who weren't super into comics was Avengers Academy, mostly because I'm sitting here and I forgot the screenshots where you could get Billy and Tommy full kissing. Now, Billy is Wanda's son that she made up, quote unquote. Wanda did nothing wrong. No, she did. Can't lie about that. But she made up Billy, and then Hulkling is the son of a Skrull and a Kree. So he has the ability to shapeshift. And I am admittedly not as familiar with his backstory as I am with Billy's. However, I do know that the two are in a canonical relationship, that they are married in the comic universe. And in Avengers Academy, they have a number of scenes, including one where they kiss. And I just think that's neat. You know, I think that Marvel does tend to lean into very specific characters who are gay. Wiccan, Iceman, and Billy and Tommy, and now Loki. And then America Chavez, because for folks who are not familiar with America Chavez, she is canonically gay. She is a lesbian. She does have a partner in the comics.
She is the most lesbian to ever lesbian.
Yes. Full stop.
And
Full stop. She defines when you look at it in the dictionary.
Exactly.
This actually reminds me of, I can't remember where I read this. It might have been at my local bookstore before it closed down, or my local library. There was Runaways.
Yeah.
We love Runaways.
God, Runaways is so good.
I gotta remember. I can't remember names. This is why, I'm thankful that people's names are just always on their Twitters. Let's see. No, she'd. No, no, no. Let's see. Oh yeah, now I remember. It was Carolina Dean, who I think, like, just because, this writing team knows writers who use subtext, and they're all cowards. Like, she could fly and shoot lasers, but when she does it, she turns all rainbowy.
Right, because she's an alien.
Yeah,
and I don't think it's ever established what alien species, but it doesn't really matter because it's the Marvel Universe. There's gabillions.
Yep, and then I think early in like that series run, there was they met a Skrull, Zevon, a Super Skrull in training. So they have all the powers of the Fantastic Four, but they never finish the training because they suck. So they can only use one at a time, which is funny as hell.
Yeah, no, the Skrulls are funny that way.
And they're basically like just due to inner space bullshit. They'd be like, "We're kind of betrothed or whatever," and she was like, and then Caroline's like, "Oh, I only like girls," and then Zevon is just like, I think there was just like one panel where they're just looking at her as like, "That's a problem with you? Are you serious? I'm a Skrull. We can just change just like that," and they do it right in front of her.
Yeah, no, the one I don't want to say low point because I haven't finished the run, so I don't know if this has happened, but by all accounts it has not. To tie in with the now canceled and apparently quite boring Hulu TV show that they made out of the Runaways. They brought the comic back, written by Rainbow Rowell, and art by it was Chris Anka, and then it became loads of other people because Chris Anka had to go work on Across the Spider-Verse. But anyway, the one thing that I remember being kind of disappointed on is they never really brought Zevon back. And that kind of annoys me, and I'm not as familiar with Marvel Cosmic stuff, but I don't think even in the current state of the Marvel Cosmic Universe, which is that Hulkling he's king of the United Kree Skrull Empire, and Billy is basically his first gentleman,
his royal consort.
Right. So I don't think even in there they've managed to do anything with Zevon. Again, I don't know.
I don't think they have. There's one where I think Carolina went into space to do space stuff, and then they kind of maybe just. Yep. It says at the end of the 5th series, she goes back into space with one of her teams, and hasn't been seen in a while. So yeah, there's that.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have not finished it, so I just need to sit down and do that.
Yeah.
Well, if we're going by LGBTQ characters, and we're going by ones that because yes, the Runaway show on Hulu was bad.
Yeah,
I was really excited for
Mhm.
it. It just kind of turned out to be a thing that I have feelings about. But they did also introduce the concept of Nico Minoru being with Carolina, and
Mhm.
that was definitely a lot more progressive. And we do see Nico, who is till they do a new backstory for her. That was the backstory they left with, and she was with Carolina. So
Mhm.
we do
Right.
see Nico in Strike Force, which is one of my favorite games. If you have not played Strike Force, everyone should go play Strike Force because it is a marvel of engineering and a marvel of programming. The fact that my phone can do things like what they do on Strike Force is just oh.
Mhm.
And there's a big list of so we're talking about Avengers Academy, and I was
Mhm.
talking about how like Union Jack came in and Union Jack was gay, and then we have America Chavez, Hulkling, Wiccan, and out of a list of characters who have appeared in video games, we have Colossus, who is a gay male, Dakin, who is one of Wolverine's many children, who's also gay, Deadpool,
Point of order: Dakin is bisexual and also an asshole who sucks.
bisexual, and an asshole who sucks. The
He
two are not related,
sucks.
but
No,
yes.
no, they aren't. But that must be pointed out. He is a piece of shit.
Because
Yep.
Wolverine has about as many illegitimate children as any of the Greek gods.
I would not be surprised. Oh,
Huh. It's weirdly comparable, actually.
folks, if you I could I had the privilege, I will segue very briefly, hopefully. I had the privilege of seeing Thor Love and Thunder at the world premiere.
Ooh,
Oh yeah, I saw
dope.
that.
So I had the privilege of seeing Thor Love and Thunder at the world premiere. And I can tell you that there is a lot of queer in it. It's not enough and it's not explicit, but there's a lot
Good.
more in it than the last one, which is fantastic.
Alrighty.
But you mentioned the gods, and there's some very funny scenes with gods, and the notion of the fact that they just anything that walks is fair game.
Now answer me this, because we all know from the trailers that Russell Crowe is Zeus, and apparently he's a riot.
Mhm.
But does Hercules show up? Because Marvel Hercules, I love him so much.
Oh yeah.
I love him so much.
If I respond to this, Debbie, do you want to know? Because I'm gonna have you cut it because it's a spoiler.
No, I don't. I don't edit the show.
Okay. You can just message me.
I will message you.
Okay.
But what I was gonna say was they really go all in on the idea that the gods of different universes, that's what they do, is they bone. And when and there was definitely queerness in it, and I want to point that out, and I want to tell people there's queerness. It's not enough, but it's really surprising given Disney's policies regarding the don't say gay debacle that
Yep.
afflicted my company. And here's the thing about that, I'm just going to come out and say it, 99% of the Walt Disney Company is gay. And those who are straight have probably had gay thoughts.
Those who are straight also lie.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how it works, y'all.
Yeah.
And so the decisions that were made in regards to the bigotry that exists in the United States today by the company were immensely hurtful. And I was very proud of the people, because I haven't recorded and podcasted with Debbie, so I just want to put out that the people that you guys owe thanks to who did it for video games, who did it for Disney Animation, Television Animation Department, Disney's TVA, Lucasfilm, Pixar, and Marvel. Those are the people who went out, and those are the people whose jobs were safe enough to walk out of the building and make a very broad statement to the company about how the company was treating those of us who work at the parks on the front line. So if you guys are looking for safe places to put your money into, find those people's independent projects and support them. Because I'm sure they have comics, and I'm sure they have movies, and I'm sure they have video games that they are working on, and they do deserve that level of support, because it was physically impossible for me to walk out without damaging my career, as well as for the rest of us who just were kind of sitting there expecting it to be a thing. And it's just seeing this in relation to Love and Thunder, that was definitely a lot queerer. I really wonder, the dichotomy of the boardrooms. Let's just put it that way. The dichotomy of the boardrooms and how they handle issues, especially because 99% of the company is freaking gay. There's a story about Walt Disney, and it's in the official book. It's in the official, an American original. The book.
And the Neil Gabler biography you're talking about.
Yes, it's in the book. I vividly remember this. There's a story about an animator, and he got arrested for practicing sodomy. And that is what they said at the time. That is what the Los Angeles Code of Conduct at the time defined it being gay. And rather than lose his job, Walt Disney hired him back and said, and because this is the definition of this company, the definition of this company is a big gold "you tried" star just hanging in the sky, just a giant "you tried," because Walt said, and I quote, "Well, he made a mistake. Let's hire him back." And I'm just like, dude, so close. You shot for the runway, and you broke the wheels, and you rolled off the ship, man. So close. Oh.
I mean, remember, this was the 40s.
Still. And I delight in telling people that story, especially bigots, because when I tell them that story, it's a reminder that the gay people have always been there. They're behind Mickey, they're behind Minnie, and they've been making the content that people have been consuming. So that's all there is to it. And there's fully nothing wrong with it. And there's nothing wrong with any of the characters that are included in the video games that Marvel makes. Mystique, Northstar, Prodigy, and Shatterstar are also ones that have appeared. And
all right.
So I can, and then Hector was also, I have a little list here, and I was looking at various games that gay Marvel characters have appeared in. And Electro is apparently a member of the LGBTQ community, which I think is very interesting. I did not know that.
I did not either, and I care more about Spider-Man than most members of my extended family. So that is a surprising thing to learn. All right.
Now I have to look this up. So.
All right. While you're doing that, can I ask? Have you? What was it? Have you read the Lockjaw miniseries?
I have not.
Oh yeah, so that was written by my internet pal Daniel Kibblesmith, and that was part of like the big Inhumans push. That's how we got Miss Marvel, right?
Really?
And yeah, so really they tried giving, because Ike Perlmutter, the lunatic who I think is still an owner of Marvel in some fashion, he's like, well, I don't want to pay Fox. I don't want to give publicity to Fox since we can't make the X-Men movies. So let's just we've got Inhumans, just do that, ignoring that nobody cares about the Inhumans. But the point of that is we got a Lockjaw miniseries, but because Lockjaw can't talk, they paired him up with D-Man, a very beloved character, who's sort of like a wannabe schlubby superhero, who is also gay. And at the start of that miniseries, he had just been dumped by his boyfriend. And Lockjaw, who, for those of you who don't know, Lockjaw is a giant teleporting bulldog. He is the best. He transports them to the Savage Land. You know, the Savage Land, the hidden land under Antarctica where dinosaurs live. And they meet Kazar, who is blonde Tarzan, essentially. That's all Kazar is. And I feel like that's going to show up sooner rather than later, because, I mean, we're getting frickin' Namor in a movie, which is something I never thought I would see in my lifetime on this planet. And they made Namor hot. you bastards. so we're doing that.
Yeah, it's we're getting, I will say, sorry, because I'm looking it up. Electro is Mark Miller's decisions with Electro, while it could potentially count him amongst the LGBTQ plus population, the way that it is framed is definitely not a positive representation. So while it is there, I will say you should look it up if you're interested as far as supervillains go. And also, example of very bad representation, just put in Electro LGBTQ and you will understand why.
All right. I mean, it's Mark Millar. My expectations are significantly low.
Right. And then I will close out my little segment here for the moment with a hope for a character that I would like to see get their own franchise, which is Marvel's new transgender mutant. So Escapade is a trans mutant. She's just been introduced. She was introduced in June's Marvel Voices Pride.
Oh, yeah, she was.
She is Sheila Sexton, aka Escapade, and have you all read her stuff? Because she is cute and I adore her to pieces.
Not yet, and I'm kicking myself because I was literally just at my shop today and I forgot to pick up DC and Marvel Pride. I feel terrible. But yeah, no, that is very exciting. I've been looking forward to that.
It's really, really cool to see, as someone who is trans, and I'm sure Debbie can relate, I'm sure that you can relate, and I'm sure that everybody can relate when you see characters like that. To see somebody who's just genuinely happy being themselves is, I mean, like, you want to see people who are unhappy being themselves. One of my all-time favorite villainous video game characters from everyone's video game I'm trying to get them to associate me with, which is the Funny Bear game with the pizza restaurant, is basically very queer-coded, and he's very much a villain. I love me a good gay villain, but to see a positive gay hero, to see a positive trans hero, especially right now, is a huge, huge deal. And it's not the only LGBTQ character who was introduced as far as this month's Pride Month, because I did also forget about Webweaver, who has a connection to Pimtech, aka where I work, aka also Van Dyne Industries, which is infinitely better than Pimtech. It's true. I'm pretty sure Scott would agree, and I'm pretty sure that if pressed, Hank Pym would agree. But do we really care what comic Hank Pym thinks?
No,
you don't.
We don't. Comic Hank Pym has no opinion because he does not get an opinion. And
isn't he dead? I think he's dead. Right? I think he's
dies in the MC. Someone will come along, probably Dan Slott. I love
I have grievances with Dan Slott. That is all I will say right now.
He follows me on Twitter, and Dan, I respect you, and I respect your work. I know that some of the early Hank stuff was with his mental health issues was stuff that you guys did before it was a topic that was discussed. And I just have feelings about those decisions. But you know what? It's okay, because Marvel made it up with Hank's daughter, Nadia. And this is not Mental Health Awareness Month. This is our Pride Month. So I will instead say that Webweaver is Marvel's other new character who definitely belongs in games, and who definitely at least belongs in Into the Spider-Verse, because they are the very first LGBTQ Spider-Man. And,
okay, yeah.
And Christopher Anka is the one who designed her. For them.
Yay!
I know.
I just love Chris so much. Is the thing.
Yes, absolutely. I'm trying to find the character's pronouns, because yes, Webweaver, not so mild-mannered fashion designer at Van Dyne, gets spider powers and shows us a very different kind of spider slayer. Hunter Spider, and yeah, we go from there. And we're gonna see it for End of the Spider-Verse, and we're just gonna hope that Webweaver lasts, because it made a lot of bigots very upset. So
yeah. So I guess it's my turn now. So let's see. This is like, if my little segment sounds like, bragging, that's because it is, because this is my show. But the first little bit of business, like a while ago, I recently got, like played and I'm currently playing the very good Dragon Quest Builders 2, which, these two games are basically. So I'm just now started. So with everything, everywhere, all at once, and Multiverse of Madness coming out, I'm starting to realize just how many franchises that I have read, watched, and played have multiverse stuff in it. And now now Dragon Quest has it, which is just a whole can of beans. But
All right.
yeah, in Dragon Quest 2, you make your own character, and it's like, and because it's Akira Toriyama's designs, it's always like almost but not quite DBZ characters, because that's one of the things he's most known for. But apparently, I haven't gotten to this point in the game yet, but apparently there reaches a point where I guess if you have, like, I don't know, a wardrobe or something, you can like just change hair, gender, eye color, all that stuff right away, and it's just just a thing that's there. I haven't gotten to
Uh-huh.
it yet because like this game is also like base building and Minecraft stuff with Dragon Quest in it, so it takes a while. But yeah, but like go to the ancient era of like the very first year I started making the show, before I didn't know who the crap you two were, and the idea of recapping every single episode of the Pokemon anime were the demented dreams of an overly ambitious person who wanted the world in their hands. Yeah, but let's see. But a while ago, and I'm still just reeling over the fact that I managed to do this in like the first year of the show before I actually started to have people who knew what I did, even if it was like a handful. But I got to interview in the first year, December of the first year, so like 4 months, like not even half a year into the first year of my show, which is just I'm still reeling. Back when I was still in college, I got to interview one of my favorite authors, Rachel Gold. So, if you would like
Mhm.
to look up her stuff, I'd very much recommend it. I mean, she wrote, like, through what I can only describe as the telephone game, but the internet. Like, I gotta talk about this because this sounds like some sort of overly complicated plot that I would make Tom help me write if we made a show. But, back when Star versus the Forces of Evil was the hot new thing, right before they got to the season where they're like, Star, you can't just erase hundreds of years of systematic oppression and bigotry overnight, and they got way too real. That show was great. There's like this one episode where Star and Marco had to infiltrate, what is basically like this like prep school, which is basically like the Stepford Wives, only it makes like the interdimensional teenage girls into proper what I can only describe as an evil person's idea of what being British is.
Oh yeah. This is the school with Princess Ponyhead.
Yeah, Princess Ponyhead, the worst character. She sucks. I
I
hate
don't
her
know.
so.
I mean, she's annoying, but like in the same way that yeah, like Amethyst from Steven Universe could be kind of annoying in some episodes. Like I never minded
Amethyst
her.
had actual depth to her.
Okay.
Anyway, so they tried to go undercover, and Star gave Marco a disguise, and it was in what I can only describe like a princess dress that is like almost aggressively poofy. Like I feel like if you wear it, it's like pillows. And then Marco refers to all the princesses he helps liberate, like as his fellow wayward sisters. He becomes like the actual face of a revolution, which is hilarious. And
I
then
do remember this. Yes, I love that show dearly. I need to get back into it.
yep, and then two people on the tumblers made you know like a dangerously comprehensive like article where they took like for the record, like they knew from the start that this was all just like subtext, and probably even saying it was subtext was just like stretching it. But there's like subtext signs that Marco Diaz is trans, like doesn't like I can't remember it because this was years ago. But if you can like find the blog, like a friend of mine, like they changed it because it's focusing on on Luce and Amity and now, but it was just like analyzing these subtext scenes, like, there's this one scene where Marco's put under a curse where someone blabs all of his secrets, and he's like, he showers with a towel wrapped around his chest because he's ashamed of his own body, things like that. Like, wears ballet shoes around the house. Like, he sees a statue of himself as a princess and talks about how beautiful he was. Anyway, not about that. And then, one of the people who I like follow on Twitter just typed about her favorite author, Rachel Gold, and who at the time of that writing had like two books, Being Emily and Just Girls, and Being Emily is like the first. Like, you can't get it's not so much subtext because it's text because it's an actual book, but a deeply closeted trans girl who's goes through all of the steps, including the bad steps, the worst steps that some people feel like they're going to be stuck in forever. And she typed, and Rachel Gold said in like the foreword that she explores this type of theme with like World of Warcraft because customized characters, why not? And like the use of like video games as an analogy of insert LGBT plus theme here exists. And then I was like, oh shit. And then I like bought those two books and like devoured them because I didn't really have that many. I didn't have as many books because most of my room was filled with like Case Closed and 93 of like the 100 available volumes of One Piece because of course Magic Pirates. And then I realized, oh, she has like an email, be like, hey, Rachel, would you like to be on my show to talk about video games in the context of these characters in your books? And then like a few weeks later, like as I was walking from one class to another, I was checking my email, and then she's like, yeah, sure, send me a time and place and we can arrange it and see if it fits with my schedule. And I'm just like, I don't know, you just you don't ever expect to like be able to like do like schedule and record a thing with the person whose books you just finished reading. So, we talked about video games. We talked about how the character in her first book, Emily, just used like video games to act out what she couldn't at the time act out. And it was just awesome. And she talked about how like she like used like World of Warcraft to like build like the sort of unique LGBT plus communities that can come through video games, which is like, how I'm talking to, someone who works for the Avengers and some guy who I managed to force to fall in love with the Pokemon anime. And it was just neat. It was just really nice to just, because, I never, like, that was like the most serious conversation at the time. Just talking about like using video games as that sort of outlet and all that. And then like a year later we came back and then we did another thing where we was like, what characters would play which video game, which characters would be into like what sort of video games, and it's awesome. So that was always fun. And like I still can't believe I managed to do that. And the thing I want to brag about the most while I have you two here against your will, you knew what you were signing up for, was again in the very first year, because like, and this is like one of like the bigger indie studios. There was Midboss, who is behind like GamerCon, GAYMER, because subtext is for cowards. And like one of the most popular games at the time was 2064 read-only memories, and I got to interview three of the people. Yeah, interview three of the people who worked on it back in the day, who have since left the company, as it was revealed that the person who was at the time but no longer in charge of the company was a dirtbag. And don't ask me. Yeah, if you want to know, I'm pretty sure like they can link you to articles they wrote about it. But anyway, like the ancient year of 2064, which hopefully, which ideally the four of us will live to see. Everything is like the future. Like, I don't know, Tom, if you wanted to, like, I don't know, replace your arms with the sort of robot arms that Bucky has in the Marvel movies, you could do that. Like,
I mean, that'd be fun. I'd be down with that.
I mean, and, there's, like, genetic hybridization with, like, animal DNA to, like, cure otherwise terminal diseases. So that's why you see people with, like, rabbit ears and this one girl who's like a cat because in order to cure her skin cancer, she had to hybrid herself with a shark. But then they had to input some cat DNA in it because, shark woman's scary. And, just like in a lot of other, like every single character there is non-straight, non-cis, or both. Like when you meet, and, because once again, the gamers have proven that subtext is for cowards. Your robot friend is this like weird blue gumball head looking person. Their name is Turing because it's about like a world where LGBT stuff has gotten more advanced, and the robot is Turing because again, subtext is for cowards. And like in the beginning, I think you can like create your character's like name, like custom sets of pronouns. You can even like make up your own set of pronouns, or you can do what they do in Earthbound and unintentionally make the characters swear whenever they refer to you in the third person, because Earthbound has made that a funny thing for over 30 years. Yeah, just it was just really nice seeing like just like the casual representation. Like one of your characters is I like to call who I'm just gonna be referring to as Future Carolyn because they're kinda like kinda have Carolyn's hairstyle, but if you added like a bit of a purple mohawk.
I'm into it. I can make that.
Yeah, they're like your computer hacker friend, and they help you solve this like weird mystery to find your robot friend's creator. Yeah, just like that was at the time like the most like abundant and yet incredibly casual like casual representation in the universe, because it's like I know things suck now, but hopefully by the time we're crotchety old people, I can't wait for us to be like some sort of weird incarnation of the Golden Girls.
Am I Sophia? I feel like I'm Sophia.
I don't know. One of us will be like the gay butler that they had for exactly one episode. And yeah, but yeah, like the casual representation.
You guys, I've never seen an episode of the Golden Girls.
I haven't either. I know the characters, but that's it.
I can't look at you in the eye. I can't look at either of you in the eyes anymore, even though we don't have cameras. But yeah, just like the casual representation, like almost all of like the characters that appear as a duo, or just like these two bartender husbands, like the best kind of husbands you can know, I assume. Like these two rowdy punk, like one, like these two, like one's guy is just like just straight punk, I guess. I don't know the punk movement. Get off my back, Tom. And yeah, and yeah, it's just real neat. Like, it's the first example of how the big companies take doing any sort of representation from like queer people to women. Ubisoft saying about how it's such a arduous chore, but it really isn't when it's people who know what the crap they're doing. And it's just really neat. It's I don't know, a year after the release, there's a huge update where all of the major character roles are voice acted. Turing's voiced by the person who voiced Clementine in The Walking Dead. Let's see. James fucking Stephanie fucking Sterling Sons also has a bit of a guest role in there, and that's neat.
Oh shit! Thank God for them.
Yeah. Thank God who was a horse for them. Yeah, it's just really neat, and I'm gonna maybe pass it to one of you two so I could think of another example because I'm talking for too long.
Well, I could talk for a second about pronouns, because the Sims game just came out with.
Oh yeah, I heard about this. Sorry.
No. Yeah, the Sims game just came out with the pronoun update, and I downloaded it, and I downloaded the werewolves pack. See, I do play, some more severe, serious games. It's not just funny bears and farming games. I do play The Sims, which is the most serious. Don't listen to what either.
Yeah, the most serious.
No, it is. It is. I know. My girlfriend is pretty into The Sims right now. So yeah, no, it's serious business out there.
Has she downloaded the werewolf pack? Because the werewolf pack is actually a lot of fun.
The last time I asked her about it, she had not. I'm sure she's going to get around to it. But no, it's as someone who begrudgingly played a few games of the original and was bad at it. It is astonishing how many not just graphical but quality of life improvements and stuff the Sims 4 has now. That's just crazy. But pronoun pack, go on.
Well, there's a pronoun pack, and there's also one of the Sims. I've become very enamored with Simmers on YouTube recently, and one of the things that Lil Simsy, who is a Simmer, was talking about that I thought was really interesting was the idea of scar packs, because they have the pronoun pack, and so now you can change your Sims pronouns, and other Sims will refer to them as he and him and they and them. And I made a bunch of werewolf Sims, and they've been messing around. But one of the things that they introduced in the werewolf pack was they introduced the idea of body scars, because you're supposed to be attacked by a werewolf. So, excuse me, this kids game has these really gnarly scratches and scars and bites that you can put on your Sim to be like, oh, my Sim got attacked by a werewolf. You could literally cover your Sim in scratches. You can give your Sim the werewolf curse. You can give your Sim, they call it werebees. You can literally turn your Sim into a werewolf by having them pick a fight with a werewolf named Greg, and Greg will give your Sim werebees. And Greg will beat the snot out of your Sim and give him scars. But Little Simsy posed the idea that you could get top scars, or scars that represent surgeries, gender conforming surgeries. And I think that is an absolutely fantastic proposition. And whatever anybody may think, if you're listening to this and you happen to have the remotest connection to EA games, I would like to second Little Simsy's call for that, because as a trans person, being able to see yourself represented so clearly with different kinds of scarring, and even without, I have when I was 19, I had cancer in my leg. I've lived a wild life, folks. I've lived a wild life.
Sounds
but
it.
I had my one of the muscles in my leg removed, and I have a massive scar on my thigh that if I were to be dismembered, and they were like, "What happened to Carolyn?" And they're like, "We found body parts." It's like, "Oh, that was." It was one of those types of scars, it's like, "Oh, that was." So I think it's really cool, the idea that even that something so universal could be applied And then not only help people, with physical stuff, like physical scars. Like if I were making meat, I would love to be able to put a matching, scar, because it's a big part of who I am. And I love telling people that story because their eyes bug out and their mouth drops open and they're like, huh? Why would you tell us that? And I laugh a little bit because I take my sick pleasures where I can get them. No, these are my jokes, everybody. Feel free to laugh. Thank you. I appreciate that. But I love that, you can do that. So I want to ask you guys, if you had to pick, and it doesn't have to just be The Sims, it can be any video game. If you had to pick a mod that would suit you best, some way that you could mod your character that would make you feel comfortable. Okay, and it could be anything. There is no limit to the programming skill. What would
I have no idea.
Well, the only immediate thing that comes to mind is it's intentionally unknowable from the plastic glasses frames that I wear, but I have a very high prescription. My lenses are really thick, so I was born needing laser eye surgery. And so without my glasses, I'm legally blind, is what I'm trying to say. So what I would like to see, and I know there are ways of doing this, but if you have a, how do I put this? If you have a first person game, where like the character creator, you can give them glasses or whatever, you can do that, that's fine. But what I would like to see is, and I feel like this has already been done, but I don't know. What I would like to see is if you have a first person game where you're playing a character with glasses, if those glasses fall off or get damaged in some way, that should impact your vision in some way. And I say that because my girlfriend is a big Dungeons and Dragons person.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember she was describing to me once, she treats players with disabilities, players whose characters have disabilities, as, okay, yeah, that disability impacts the way you see the world. You can't just come to, you can't just say, oh, I want to be blind because I want to be like Daredevil. It's like, no, you're blind. That impacts the way you experience the world. And so, I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, really. I just think that would be very interesting.
Yeah.
As I say, I think that might have already been done, but I'm not super sure. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, I'm not really sure I have an answer because just listening. I'm just listening to you two give some of your backstories, and I'm just I mean, I don't know. Just I've had a very good just in terms of most no light with the acknowledgement that no life is perfect. I've had a very good roll of the dice. I have I probably should get a prescription of glasses, not as strong as, Tom's, because I do not have Tom's vision problems that he said he has. But I probably just should have glasses just in general, but I don't know. I just there's I kind of wanted to have you two on because I know you two would probably give just a bit more of a clearer perspective about these things, just because I mean, just to drop the facade a bit, I don't know. I'm just I'm one of the most privileged motherfuckers I know. So I've never struggled or wanted for most things, and just in terms of representation, just I mean, to use an analogy you two will instantly understand. I'm like most days I feel like the only person whiter than me is Colin Robinson. And just like I know you've seen just like pictures of me and stuff, but if the two of you ever met me in real life, you'd be like, you look like almost every redheaded character in every source of animation I've ever watched for the past like 40 years. Like when I was little, I looked like Chucky from Rugrats, like only without like the weird rectangular glasses and like the shoes that made the fart sounds that they never explained.
Yeah, they
Um,
didn't, did they?
yeah. And just, nowadays I'm just like, there's a joke among my friends because when we watched that I kind of just look like I look like if Ponyo got, I can only describe if Ponyo got older, fatter, and slightly more butch. Just because, Ponyo has the same messy red hair that I do pretty much all the time whenever I forget to get a haircut. So just, in terms of representation, just I can any pretty much any cartoon or movie that has a redheaded character in it. Just like I wouldn't really need to try that hot. Like all I would need is just like the shirt, the pants, and the hat, and bam! Look at me. It's Julia from Luca, trying to trying to be the wing woman to those two hopeless fish gays. So yeah, I don't really know. So I'm not really the type of person that needs more representation, as I've said before. White, almost as white as Colin Robinson. But yeah, and just to briefly circle back to what Tom said about D&D, just like because I'm easily bored, I've made D&D characters of like the entire Debbie family, which has become so elaborate. I wish I owned the rights to like the characters that are in the Debbie family so that I could write a book or make a game. But I can't because one of them is a gym leader from Sword and Shield and the other is a popular snack foods mascot.
Alrighty.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah. So I wish maybe someday if I could find an indie dev who's really good at skirting copyright trademarks, maybe the two of you'll be playing a game and you see an 8-foot redhead who's as buff as Thanos offer you some delicious oatmeal cream pies. Because I don't know, the representation I want to see is the made up representation that's basically just 9 characters who are all me, except one character who's Milo from Pokemon Sword and Shield, who is Big Debbie's canonical husband.
All right. All right. You know
Wait.
what? Speaking. Oh,
Hold
no,
on.
go on. Go on.
No, Carolyn is. I think Carolyn's Wi-Fi derped. Let's try to get him back. Gosh, I'm professional, I swear. And yeah, but I'll force Tom to listen to the overly elaborate backstory of the Debbie family another time. But while we wait, I thought we could talk about what is undeniable, a character that has undeniably become an icon of the LGBT plus community without even trying. And I know as soon as I mention her, Tom will agree with me. I'm talking about Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil 8, or as I call it, the house that hot vampire mom built.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I will say what has been nice about that, and I'm blanking on her name, unfortunately, but what is nice is that I don't think the actress who played her,
Maggie Robertson.
Maggie Robertson, yes. I don't think she's been sufficiently creeped on in any way, which is nice. But yeah, I don't know anything about Resident Evil at all. I've been assured that I could cosplay a decent Leon Kennedy. We'll see.
So yeah, she's just like
Right, she's
one of the characters they advertised in Resident Evil 8,
right.
and just Google her and you'll be like, oh,
Oh
that's why
no,
everyone of or what
oh
sorry.
oh I know what the internet was. I know what the internet did. I know what they wanted. So I know what all that's about,
Yeah,
and I agree with them.
yeah, 9 feet
Also,
9 feet tall, super
mm,
strong. She can Freddy Krueger her hands.
mm-hmm,
And yeah, and then there was, and back before Tumblr was even more of a piece of crap, where they just made it so that even when you're not logged in, you can't even like scroll down and look at all the pictures. Like
mm-hmm,
someone like posted the video of like the cameo she did, where she just said like we support gay rights in
mm-hmm,
like the character's voice, and
mm-hmm,
it's awesome because like Dimitrescu is one of the best voices, and
mm-hmm,
then there was Aaron LaPlante who voiced the Duke, and
mm-hmm,
also a character in Resident Evil 8.
mm-hmm,
Who, again, just Tom, when you get that opportunity in your life, please play
mm-hmm.
that game because just like you just want to hear him just like talk about the most mundane things because it's like that best kind of voice.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm. Well, I will say, now I'm not a Halo person,
yeah.
um, but I am thinking of two things now, which is that, and I'm blanking on his name, Jeff somebody, who was the announcer for Halo, and for all I know, still is. Um, Someone paid him via Cameo to say trans rights, and that was quite wholesome to see. And The one joke I heard, and this is from the punctuation review of Halo Infinite, is that Master Chief winds up with a big, hairy, bearded dude as his essentially unspoken boyfriend.
Mhm.
So that's kind of funny. Because Halo being a military shooter, that sort of thing does not factor into it that much, but you'd think
Yeah.
it would. But no, that sort of stuff's always exciting. To go back to our other our main topic that we're usually podcasting about, Pokemon, and this is something we have touched upon once or twice. I know I have not watched this myself, but in the quote unquote Netflix original anime Pokemon Journeys, Ash has Ash and Pikachu. They have a co-protagonist role with Go, and the joke I heard, and it was pretty much like tagged instantly, is that, oh yeah, Go is got the hots for Ash. It's a whole thing.
Just
Do you
wait
support
till
that?
um Tom, this will take many, many years, but once we get to it, you will agree with the speculation.
Okay. So you agree with
Yeah,
that suggestion? Okay.
yeah. Not giving it away because it is just
Mhm.
gold.
All right.
And back before like that series even started airing, like there was
Mhm.
a rumor going around that Go would be like, the first non-binary character, and
Mhm.
disappointingly, that news source was announced by, I think, like, don't quote me on this part, but Nintendo Soup, which I guess that website is known for just posting straight up lies, and it
Okay.
turns out that was uh so yeah, that was just a bit disappointing, but just yeah,
Mhm.
and oh yeah, and to like go back to the Pokemon games to tie it into to like this and that, and
Mhm.
let's say there's a thing just like early on when like Pokemon X and Y premiered,
Mhm.
as or as we'll know it when we get to it, Pokemon France.
All right.
which is, the best way to improve any country is to have Pokemon in it.
Exactly.
Like one of like the like generic trainers like you encounter like after you beat her, she's like, half a year ago I was a black belt. It's amazing what science can do. And like the thing is, like the black belt like character,
Mm-hmm.
like that character model is like exclusively male.
Uh-huh.
And the character you fight is like quote beauty unquote, which is like exclusively women. So
Oh, yeah. You know what? Yes, I do remember this now. I think I saw this somewhere. Wow, that is very exciting. And nobody caught this at the time? Nobody got mad?
I mean, to be fair, it's like one specific part of like what is like the main hub city in the game.
Mm.
So I don't know, and I don't know, just like when gotta recap them all. If it ever becomes popular enough that we start getting like messages from weirdos to stop talking about stuff like we're talking about right now, just all of like the legendary Pokemons, unless like specific examples, they're all like genderless. So like when I say God is a non-binary horse, I'm not doing it just to send out, just so that I can feed on the energy of like all the bigots who are mad about it, like Colin Robinson.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not sure if this like an unintentional bit of comedy that when you look up unknowns, which is like what if alphabets were alive.
Oh, I know him.
Yeah.
I know him.
Oh, we're gonna be getting to that movie relatively soon, and it's gonna be awesome.
That is dope because there were commercials all over Cartoon Network for that movie. And the specific way the trailer referred to him was like, and something special, the unknown. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know, it was something specific. Like, that's been burned into my head for like 25 years. So I'm looking forward to how that plays out for sure.
And yeah, and just like as I've become more that's because I've just looked up because before Tumblr made this website even more of an inconvenience. If you look up like LGBT plus Pokemon, like you find two
Mhm.
categories. One like
Mhm.
really heartwarming and it'll make you go and two is freaking hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Like that special type of affirmation that we all look for that's shows us ourselves out in the stuff we consume, but it's also like friggin' funny. Yeah, I'm like Sylveon has become real popular in the LGBT plus Pokemon community
Mm-hmm.
for extremely
Mm-hmm.
obvious reasons because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
what if the transgender pride flag was a dog fox?
Yeah, or is it a cat? I think it's a cat.
We don't, you can, I think it's both with Eevee.
Yeah, it's a little unclear. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's always been a little unclear, but to me that's part of the charm.
Yeah, and they've just like I think they've done this in like every installment since. Like I'd have to look up in like Sun and Moon, but they've had like at least one Pokemon that's basically like it's like if you painted the trans pride flag and then rolled an animal around in it while the paint was still wet and so that the colors just stuck to its fur.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and just wait till we get to Sword and Shield, where it's like even more explicit to the point where you just want to throw like the cup of coffee everyone's holding in their hands at all time down to the ground and be like, "Oh, come on!
Mm-hmm.
You're not even trying to not hide it." I don't know. Like Pokemon's not exactly a shining example, but it's like I think making small steps and getting better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like this was a while ago, but to go back in memory lane, there was like in that Pokemon like that Pokemon Salon episode.
Mm-hmm.
There was that one redheaded owner that I just, for some reason, I imagine just this is where my headspace at, but I imagine that they're good friends with the guy in this from The Simpsons that goes, "Yay!"
Oh
Because
yeah,
that's how
yeah.
they talk. And they
Yeah.
like have the chancy, and they just like that's kind of neat. And just in case this somehow miraculously becomes popular, like if you ever want to bring a one-shot character on and you need someone to voice act it, Pokemon Company, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, let me do it, please.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's Pokemon. Oh yeah, and then Borderlands 3, which I like talked about.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I was hoping to have you talk about that actually, because I know about Flack, the non-binary robot, right?
yep,
They're a robot.
voiced by Sung Won Cho, or
Mm-hmm.
as we call him, every character in the King Dragon saga.
Yeah, yeah.
And they've actually like done a bit more. Like in Borderlands 2, they're introduced Sir Hammerlock, voiced by J. Michael Tatum, one of my
Okay.
favorite voice actors.
Yeah, no, I love Tatum.
It was like,
I've met him very briefly, I think. Very nice. Um,
and since this isn't really like, I'll just give a little bit away for Borderlands 3 since this isn't like plot relevant. But just due to shenanigans in that game, you end up like travel. Like in the land of Borderlands, each gun is made by like some sort of weird like company, and you end up going to the planet where one of those companies is based, and it's like I don't know, and like one of the company's whole thing is like, what if the South, but you take away all the bad parts of the South, and you meet the owner like
mhm.
Wainwright Jacobs, who's like this like really like zany old this not well not old but like in his 40s or 50s old man. And just I don't know, it just the southern accent covered with the fact that he's just like also gunning down the bad guys that you're gunning down. And just it's revealed that he fell in love with and is dating like Sir Hammerlock. And one of the this is the only part I will spoil, Tom, because I just whenever you have the time, just buy that game because it's friggin' awesome.
I own Borderlands 2. I own it.
Yeah, and then
I have not finished it.
yeah,
But go on.
and in Borderlands 3, like in Borderlands 2, they put like four like DLC campaign, like four really meaty DLC campaigns. And one of them is like the wedding between Sir Hammerlock and Wainwright Jacobs. Like you're actually like helping to plan their wedding. And
Hmm.
like Borderlands is not only are there not any buried gays in this like entire franchise, but like the plot of the DLC campaign is to prevent any gays from being buried and like find the person who has the shovel trying to bury them in the first place and shooting them.
Alrighty.
And it's really cool. Uh yeah, just Moxie has been like straight up confirmed as bi or pan. I'm not sure which. I do not know. And then there's, like one of the best characters in any video game ever, Mr. Torque.
Hmm.
Mr. Torque High Five Flexington. That's his actual name. That's his
Amazing.
actual. Yeah, he's basically I don't know. I want to say like Macho Man. If Macho Man Randy Savage just like ripped off Hulk Hogan's mustache, dyed it brown, and then taped it onto his face. That's
All
how I can
right.
explain the character to you. And like his character has been confirmed as bi, and that's always nice because that's like every single person in Borderlands acts like they've like drank like a whole lot of sugar and a whole lot of coffee and never ever stopped because
Hmm.
it's like Mad Max like did a bunch of drugs. And that's always like I thought that was really neat, and I won't say any more because Borderlands, well, the rest of Borderlands 2 and Borderlands 3 is really good, and Borderlands the pre-sequel, and Tales from the Borderlands back before like Telltale was ruined by jerks, and just a bit of like real casual representation, like it's revealed that Isabel, everyone's favorite, perpetually overworked poodle. No, wait.
Mm-hmm.
No, wait. She's a Shih Tzu. I don't
Is
know.
she?
I have no.
No, I don't think so. That doesn't sound right.
She's none. She's neither of those two. I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
It's revealed that like she'll have a crush on an Animal
Oh,
Crossing New
nope,
Leaf.
she is a Shih Tzu, turns out.
Yep,
Go
and
on.
she's like canonic. Like in New Leaf, she's like the mayor's assistant because that's the shtick of that one. And
Mm-hmm.
like it's revealed that she has a crush on the mayor regardless of gender, and that's neat.
Oh. Hmm.
And another reason I'm bringing up like Isabel is just because of like one of the best. Like I hope in the future the LGBT plus community does more with this because it's one of the best things ever. Like when Animal
Mm-hmm.
Crossing and New Horizons and Doom Eternal came out on like the same day.
Yes.
And so, like, the Doomslayer and Isabel being best friends is like a recurring gag.
Yes, and now I'm thinking of I'm sure you've seen the wonderful fan comics of when Isabel was announced as joining Smash. Um, there was that fan comic of her wanting to hook up with I don't know which Fire Emblem dude. There were like 20 of them. Um, but that was really fun.
Yep.
Yeah, no, yeah, no, both my sister and my girlfriend are big Animal Crossing people. Um, and although my girlfriend, she stopped playing Animal Crossing in favor of Stardew Valley, specifically because Stardew Valley, it's not real time, so there's a lot less pressure.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, no, as we did do co-op a little bit, but it was a little tough with our internet. Um, but no, that game is a heck of a lot of fun. I own it. I need to get back to it. Um, but yeah, no, a lot of it's kind of funny that like Stardew Valley, it's small. It's a small cast of characters, but there's all you can marry essentially basically anyone,
Mm-hmm.
which is nice. Um, so that's fun to see. Um, yeah, no, those I like Stardew. It's a lot of fun. I just need to sit down and get back into it.
Let's see. And just recently, a game I recently beat was Heart of Enya,
Don't
which
know
is
that one.
like it's free. It's totally free. And I interviewed two of the people behind that game. I think it was like a student project that they managed to make into a full thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got several like three of the characters that are there are some manner of not cis.
Uh-huh.
Like one of the characters is like the thing is that they're like characters on a journey, and they meet like basically like a campfire spirit,
Mm-hmm.
will o wisp, hardy har har.
Uh-huh.
Like who uses like they them, another character who uses they them pronouns, and like one of the character uses he they, and that's nice because like I'm pretty sure like the people who worked on it also talked about how that was a cool thing, and then it's nice to
Hmm.
see it, and like nice to see like on like big and small stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And oh yeah, just remembered. Let's see when was it? Gotta look at my list of games I've done played.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Ikenfell, which is
Mm-hmm.
like an RPG that was I don't know, kind of sorta design with some like, sensibilities of like the old Mario RPGs in line, and like most of the like a good chunk of the characters are like non-cis, non-straight, or both, and like everyone's favorite trash girl from the Gender Jumpster, James Stephanie Sterling, talked about it on like one of their like games of the year lists, talking about just like it's just like a straight up RPG, but just like the representation of the characters is just a nice thing to have, pointing out that once again it's not that difficult.
Oh, before I forget,
also one of the characters looks like Narancia from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Ooh, nice. So I just saw, I got a message from Carolyn about 20 minutes ago. Looks like an emergency has come back up, so they won't be joining us.
Yeah, I got it too. So
okay,
we'll just pretend that they're still here. Ha, good one.
Good
one, Carolyn, who's still here.
yes.
So.
Oh man. But no, I'm looking at the Steam page for Heart of Enya right now. This is very interesting. Kind of gives me a lot of Spirit Farer vibes. Very, very interesting. And it started out as a capstone game. That's very interesting. I'll have to remember to make some time for this one. Speaking of to go back to what Carolyn was talking about, phone games, I had forgotten that so the one phone game I've beaten besides Super Mario Run, right? So you and I, we were raised on the age of tie-in games, right? Like every cartoon, every movie would have a tie-in game, right?
Yep.
And I think that's why I never got super into video games as a kid, because I had way more movie tie-ins than original games. So I think that's what happened, because most movie tie-in games are bad, but one that isn't bad is Steven Universe Attack the Light. That's the iOS game that I believe was later, there was a sequel to it called Steven Universe Save the Light or something like that.
Yep, that's on consoles and Steam.
Yes. But yeah, Attack the Light. I dug a lot. It's a very, very simple turn-based RPG, but it is a lot of fun.
Oh, it was.
And that was really fun to me. And obviously, being a Steven Universe game, it is subtextually queer, and I say that because at the point that game was created, I don't think Peridot and Lapis had been introduced yet, because they're not in the game.
Yeah.
And don't at me, but Peridot's character arc is the best arc of the series. So that is that, as they say.
Yeah. And Ronaldo can go to hell.
I actually don't mind Ronaldo, because
of course.
No, hear me out. You and I have definitely met Ronaldos, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we've met Ronaldos. Sometimes we've been the Ronaldo, right? And so to me, I think it's it's that time-honored thing of poking fun at your fandom in a very loving way.
I mean, they kind of lost points for me on that when they did that episode where he like kidnapped and assaulted Steven, and it was just never brought up again.
Yeah, no, that's true. I'm not saying Steven Universe was a perfect show. It certainly wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will say, speaking of, actually on this topic, have you seen the new Rugrats reboot that they did?
No, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So yeah, I haven't seen it either. I haven't made time for it. It didn't look super interesting, because those character designs were not meant to work in 3D. And I think when you try to do that, it can have mixed results. Rugrats Search for Reptar was fine, because that's the PS1. But there's difference, right, between PS1 polygons, first gen 3D, and a fully 3D animated show in I don't know, Lightbox. I don't know. I'm not an animator. But what kind of the two things that intrigued me. Well, the one kind of made me mad. The second kind of was more intriguing. The thing that made me mad was that they only brought back the original actors for the babies, with the exception of Kimmy. They recast that role. I'm not entirely sure why. That's a bit of a bummer. But the adults were all recast, which is a bummer because, and I mean, I know I understand why, because the original grandpa, the original grandpa, David, whatever his name was, he passed away during the show, and then Joe Alasky, who replaced him, he is of course also no longer with us. And but the point is, they recast the parents with like all these TV famous names, like I think Jonah from Veep is Drew, and Anna Chlumsky, I think, is Dee Dee, which is very strange. And they also did not update Dee Dee's look in any way, which is a choice. But for me, the most surprising thing is the actress Natalie Morales, who everybody else knows from, I think she was on My Name is Earl. I'm not super sure, but I know her from the short-lived sitcom Abby's, which I love very much. She plays Betty, and in that incarnation of the show, Betty is a single lesbian woman, right? Like raising Phil and Lil as a single mom. Howard is not around.
I think maybe they divorced, but it's not entire. But they haven't. At the time of this episode, they have not confirmed.
Yeah, they haven't really said. And I mean, I guess like you kind of get it, because even back in the day, everyone kind of always knew about Betty. But yeah, it is very interesting that was the one concession they made. I will say, if you have never watched Rugrats as an adult, it is a crazy experience, because the thing about watching Rugrats as a kid, right? You're identifying with the babies, and the adults are doing funny stuff too. But your main focus is on the adventure stuff, on what the babies are doing. But you watch Rugrats as an adult, like I was curious. I don't believe it's on there anymore, but all of Rugrats was exclusive to Hulu for a while. So I was curious, and I rewatched the not the pilot, but the first broadcast episode. There is a difference, kids. But you watch that and you realize, oh wow, I'm identifying way more with what the adults are doing, by design. So it kind of adds a whole other dimension, which is super interesting. I will say that. So that's what I think is super fun. But yeah, no, did you have any favorite TV tie-in games from that era? I love Rugrats Search for Reptar. I loved Attack the Light. Did you have any favorites?
Well, a game I recently played, because I realized it was like one of the rare good ones, was they recently remastered SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Yeah, the rehydrated edition. Yeah.
Yeah, I got that for the Switch, and it was great because the opening bit, you're just in SpongeBob's house and everything is as it is in the show, and that's always cool. There's there's a picture of that one guy who looks exactly like SpongeBob, except he has like the greaser hair that they never explain.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah, that was just it's just 3D platformers are a bit of a rarer breed, and that's changing slowly, but just running around like the familiar locations in a SpongeBob game and have it actually be good like you're just traveling looking for secrets as SpongeBob or Patrick or Sandy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that was good.
Yeah, no, I love that game. I had that on GameCube. I played it to death. I lent it to someone, didn't get it back for 2 years, and then when I got it back, it was scratched to all heck. So I couldn't even, donate it. I just had to pitch it. And then years and years ago now, a few years ago now, I think I found it on PS2 either on eBay or I bought it somewhere. And that was fun, but the CRT TV I had in my basement was very old, and so like the rock bottom, well, not so much the rock bottom level, but the kelp forest level was, I mean, that was just unplayable because it was so dark, and it was really hard to see. And I still have my PS2 and all that with me. I just have to find a way to hook those up to my smart TV. There are little switchblades you can use for that. But yeah, no, that game was loads and loads of fun. And I will admit, now that they have added voice acting, I am curious to try Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl.
I don't have it, but it's just wild to see it.
Oh yeah, no, it is very much okay, we need a Fortnite. What's our Fortnite? And then someone tells you, oh, well, you can't do a Fortnite, but you can do a Smash Brothers clone. And that's wild to me. Although the funniest part about that is, they added Garfield, right? Because Nickelodeon owns Garfield now. And they added, excuse me. Right, they made it so that if the server clock registers that it's a Monday, you cannot access Garfield because it's Monday. That is excellent commitment to a bit, if ever I've heard one. And they did like I said, they do have voice acting now, which I don't know why they didn't do that in the first place. That's very strange. But I will say I don't know much about Fortnite, but I did learn recently that there is a character. I'm assuming it's a player character called you can play called Mancake, who is a pancake man, like a man made out of pancakes, and he dresses like a cowboy. So that's fun. I like that. I think that's funny. So yeah, that is very fun to me. Yeah, no, very, very exciting, I would say. Yeah. So what games have you been playing lately? Anything interesting? Because I'm actually I brought my Switch with on vacation. I did not have a moment to play it, but I am gonna start up my playthrough of Brilliant Diamond again. But what have you been playing lately? Anything?
Let's see. Got I have 11 of the 14 games on my current list check off, but the ones I'm currently plugging away at are Dragon Quest 11. Hell yeah. This is like, it's weird having Dragon Quest game with voice acting in it. Dragon Quest Builders.
Oh, do they traditionally not? I've never played any. I don't know.
I got some Dragon Quest stuff to send you on your birthday.
Alrighty.
Yep, Dragon Quest Builders 2, which is like part like you fight regular Dragon Quest monsters, but it's also like a Minecraft. You build a base and make it really good type of game. And let's say we'll save this for I'll save the rest of the games on this list for the end of the year. But the last game, the game I'm saving for last because I want to soak it in is the second Great Ace Attorney game. Which is 2 games that have previously only been in Japan but were recently ported over. You play as Phoenix's ancestor. I'm butchering this. Ryunosuke Naruto.
Yeah, that's Ryunosuke, right? Who's like a Japanese lawyer, and he comes to Britain,
Yeah,
right?
which it's just it's weird seeing Phoenix Wright acknowledge Japan. It's like it's like what if the Pokemon anime acknowledged Japan? Because in like the first few Phoenix Wright games, there's this like one recurring thing that's like their own take on like I don't know Kamen Rider or a Tokusatsu show, and it's just like a lot of the stuff. Like there's this one village, it's like old timey like Japanese houses, and then there's like another like incredibly Japanese village, and be like, oh, this isn't. We're not in Japan. This is just like when a bunch of people immigrated here, they just set up their own little village. Like it's it's like the type of excuse they use, like Brock and the Rice Balls, or like the Japanese houses we see in like the early episodes of the Pokemon anime. It's just like really just like jarring to see like, oh, we're from actually Japan, and they talk about Japan and Japanese customs and like the life and how different Japan is compared to Britain, and like actual racism towards the Japanese, which is not something you ever really see in a Phoenix Wright game because everyone's like a Captain Planet villain. So anyway, I'm psyched for that because oh yeah, and next time you're here, Tom, I gotta talk to you. I'm gonna make you listen to like talking about the bonkersness that is Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright.
Alrighty. So that's a matchup for the ages, like when Lupin the Third went up against Detective Conan.
That's a thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was. Let me see. I believe it was a TV special first, right? Because every year there are Lupin TV specials, and they did one, and then they made like a full blown movie. I believe both of them are available on disc, possibly streaming some places thanks to Discotech.
Yeah.
Because Discotech is, as you know, has been putting out Case Closed on DVD. I think they got the Funimation dub. That they usually do get the dubs in these things. I'm just going to look that up right now, actually. Yeah, let's see. It looks like they did, but it is. Case Closed is also on Amazon Prime. That's cool. I know they're simulcasting it on Crunchyroll again, and yeah, they weren't for a while, but yeah, no, that's a real thing. It is apparently quite fun, very exciting. Because as we've talked about, Case Closed is something that should 100% be my jam, but I've just never made time for it. Yeah, no, that sounds very exciting. Because Layton, those are all puzzle games, right?
Yeah, they're like puzzles, riddles, like weird lateral thinking puzzles, and like just like and like most of it isn't voiced, but like the cutscenes are fully voiced, and like the animation is just like some of the stuff that was previously like the first 3 games were on the 3DS, and like there aren't that many animated cutscenes, but it's like full in motion. It's almost like Ghibli.
Okay.
And yeah, like that's it was Professor Layton is like I don't know, like kind of sort of British Indiana Jones. And then it's recently got a bit of a resurgence with Catriel Layton and the Millionaire's Conspiracy, which I have on the Switch, which was a great birthday present when it came out. And where's the next one? Also, where's the next Phoenix Wright game? Because Capcom, what the hell? But that's a story for another day.
Yeah, I did buy the original trilogy on Switch, so I'm looking forward to digging into that. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, yeah, that's that's all. I think we can just bring this to the close.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Tom, for just breaking our norm of like us talking to each other more than just like 2 times in a month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no problem. This was a lot of fun. Nice to do a bit of free form chat for the old YouTube.
And the Carolyn had to leave because life gets in the way, but thank you to them for joining. And just before we sign off, I just just like blanket statement, like because it's the video game industry, just fuck Bobby Kotick and everyone like him.
Yep.
Fucks like Carolyn loves this property, but it's easier to love it now that I don't think he's associated with it any, like officially, like business wise, associated with it anymore. Fucks got Cawthon for giving money to people who think people like Tom and I should not exist.
Yeah. Mm. He does not own it anymore, I believe.
Good. And like this like stings like less and less every day, but fuck Dave Chappelle and all his ilk, and like trans women are women, trans men are men, non-binary people are who they say they are, and like screw you. Just no. I mean, if you yeah, and that's it. Like, rate, comment, and subscribe if like this almost over 2 hours of rambling is appealing to you.
Mm-hmm.
When Tom and I are not doing this, we also do like a dangerously comprehensive review of the entire like Pokemon anime and all the movies. Yes, even the seizure one and the one with the guns.
That's right. The one with the guns is the wildest thing you've ever seen.
Yep. And yeah, Tom, is there anything you want to plug before we sign off?
That depends on the answer to a question I am about to look up. See here. So as many of you know, if you listen to our other show, I am a freelance editor for Cross Infinite World. And oh, good, it is that is out. No, where is it? Dang it! Sorry, just hold on a minute. So yeah. Oh, that is very exciting. I did not know this. So one of my favorite books that I've ever worked on for Cross Infinite World is called "So You Want to Live the Slow Life" by Furu and Yuki Nekazuki, which is about it's kind of Stardew Valley-ish in a way. So you want to live the slow life, a guide to life in the beastly wilds. Makura is this guy who he kind of forcibly inherits his great grandfather's house and orchard, and he thinks it's going to be okay, but it's a little bit crazier than he thought because it's in a land called the Beastly Wilds, which is a autonomous nation in the center of Japan that's home to beast folk who start out as basically sentient animals, and then as they age, they essentially become humans with animal characteristics, and so it's a very sweet little book. It's all about him learning how to run the orchard. You learn quite a bit about his hobbies. That's super interesting. It's a really fun, interesting series. And I just learned that as of yesterday, the audiobook narrated by the actor Brian Nishi is available via Audible now from Cross Infinite World and Podium Audio. So I'm very much looking forward to digging into that once I get sent comp copy, because I love the work Podium does. I love the work they've done with my main series that I do, Reincarnated as the Last of My Kind, which is just so wonderful. I love working on it so much. Volume 4 is still available for pre-order. That releases on, I don't know when it releases. Let's see. Oh yeah, see here. It releases in a couple of weeks, actually, on the 18th. It's a very sweet series. I really like working on that. But so yeah, those are the only things I've really got going on. I am going to be working on some stuff for Crunchyroll. I just signed my new contract with them as a legacy Funimation editorial writer who was brought over to Crunchyroll after the merger. So I'm very excited to dig into those. And yeah, you can find me at Spielman Tom on Twitter, where I'm talking about anime or how great comics are. You probably see a lot of me yelling about Bleach because Bleach is coming back this fall and it's the best. So yeah.
And yeah, that's the end of that. And as I say at the end of every episode of the show, have a gourd day, everyone.
Bye.